Hello everyone, this is CounterYolo, bringing you another video talking about Star Trek Online. And in this video I'm going to talk about the case for craftable weapons inside of the game. And it's definitely a weird video for sure. To start off with though, I will talk about a correction to one thing that I said in the Coupon Starships video from last week that really blew up in popularity versus most other videos I've put on this channel. So that's cool, but obviously that means I need to clarify something in that video. And I'll get into the real meat of this video itself. Feel free to see the time links, especially if you want to skip that first part of the video entirely. So to start off with from last week, if you were looking through the comments at all, it should be obvious that I neglected / said something wrong about mega bundles from last week, and that, to my understanding, because I forgot about this from the patch notes for the week prior, was that Cryptic had recently changed this, and that they now have made it so that mega bundles aren't broken. In that, oh yeah, and I pinned this to the top because this was the first comment that actually addressed this of all the comments. But inside the patch notes itself, it says buying single ships that are part of mega bundles no longer blocks players from buying the mega bundle that the ships are a part of. So here's a little list to try to explain that in better detail. Basically, the starship packs that are never going to break are, first off, bundles that have more than just starships. So your expansion starter packs and your expansion bundles, those are never going to break because there's stuff in those packs that you can't get otherwise outside of those packs themselves, for the most part. The recent Discovery bundle was an exception, besides the skin for the Prototype Walker. Yeah, that was a really weird bundle. Anyway, the new thing that they added to that was Mega Bundles, which are starship packs that have 9 ships instead of 3 or 2. And so this is a big deal because, like, for instance, if someone was interested in buying one of the command battle cruisers and they realized that they wanted to buy the whole group, well, you've already bought a ship, so now you can't buy the whole pack, which definitely was not smart on Cryptic's part initially, mainly because, well, that's some of their highest ticket or highest price things in the C store. You probably shouldn't tell your consumer player base, no, please do not buy our most expensive stuff from the C store. So there might be some speculation as to why they changed it now. Whatever. I mean, the starship packs that still do break though are your 2 starship packs. That should be obvious if you bought one of the 2 starships and it's just 2 starships in a pack. You shouldn't need the option anymore to buy it through the bundle. The other one that's really big though is the 3 starship bundles. Because according to the text itself, it sounds like the 3 starship packs from Mega Bundles are blocked once you buy that starship. It's just that the big Mega Bundle of 9 starships is not blocked. So to my understanding, for instance, if you bought a Federation battlecruiser, the 3-pack of Federation battlecruisers from the C store would be blocked, but the whole 9 group would be available to purchase still. That is my understanding. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know in the comments. I am not here on YouTube trying to feed you misinformation. I'll try my best to give you the best information that I can. I obviously make mistakes, and I'm trying my best to get out in front of this to clarify. Now, obviously, I didn't want to put this video out without putting something else alongside it, and so today I will also be talking about some other things here too. So first off, here are some other traits and starships from those mega bundles that you might want to think about for your coupon token if you don't care about anything else. The nice thing about mega bundles, by the way, is that they don't have fleet variants. So that means that these ships are endgame stat-wise completely. So that is a nice thing about a lot of these ships. Some of the traits that I really like is improved tachyon beam from the Science Command battlecruiser. It's a tachyon beam that also has an AoE shield heal to it. So it's really great for science support ships inside the game and also science drain ships inside the game. Most drain ships are support ships in some fashion in their builds, so it's pretty synergistic overall for those builds. All hands on deck was one of the old traits for cooldowns. With the popularity of Ox to Bat and now Photonic Officer, all hands on deck isn't really quite as common anymore in a lot of builds. It's still used situationally, but it really depends upon your build, and it's more for a lot of captains that already have the trait anyway, and they see that they might be able to benefit from it. For the Miracle Worker cruisers, the tactical variant is extremely good. You have 4 base tactical consoles on it, plus the universal, so you actually could have 5 tactical consoles on this cruiser. All the KDF and Fairies version both have command and track fire on it, so it is one of the cruisers that you can use as a KDF captain to tank fairly easily on. Plus, this ship has a trait called Redirection Arrays, which is the fire at will extender inside the game, except you have to be a tank to really be able to utilize the trait. If you're a tank captain using beams, it's basically a no-brainer, super great trait. Even if it's just a one purchase for one faction, it actually is pretty solid overall, honestly. If you're KDF, I would still say the Varal support cruiser is better, but that's just me. The science variant for the Murder Worker cruisers are actually really good. Despite the fact that the console and trait is terrible, it's extremely well rounded in that you could play a science playstyle or a beam playstyle fairly effectively on it as well because of its bridge off for seating. For other choices over here on the right, the Allied Pilot Escort Bundle is extremely good. The Cross Faction Pilot Escort Bundle is terrible. So don't buy this one. Buy this one if you're going to buy a big escort bundle. To really to tell the difference, if you look through the escort bundle and you're seeing a lot of ships that look like traditional Federation, Klingon, and Romulan ships, it's the wrong bundle. You're looking for as escorts that are Andorian ships that look weird, Lethian ships that look really weird, and Daewin ships that look really weird. The science variant is extremely good and improved gravity well. It increases the duration of gravity well and also lowers its cooldown, which is extremely nice for nearly all science EPG builds. The tactical variant is also really good. Promise of Ferocity is a staple in a lot of tactical builds nowadays. In some builds you don't see it, but in most of them you probably will. It gives you bonus weapon damage whenever you activate tactical or pilot abilities, and that bonus is only lost whenever you exit combat. So especially if you're using the popular combat engines from the competitive war games reputation, you'll probably be able to stay in combat through most of your popular DPS chasing TFOs out there. Another noteworthy one is the multi-mission Explorer, the tactical variant. Not because the trait is any good, but because this is the best one of them, honestly, for what you probably are going to want inside the game, not only for its console layout of 4 tactical consoles of 5 science, but because its bridge option layout is overall the best in my opinion too. Plus it has a console that adds exotic damage to your ship as well. It's only available to full multi-mission ships, but it's still a solid console and solid ship overall. As for a final thought for this, before I get into the meat of this video, the flagship bundles are extremely strong. The problem though is you don't feel the strength as much until you start getting into at least 2-piece consoles, especially if you use the adaptive emergency systems and the flagship tactical computer together. Both those consoles are extremely strong, plus the 2-piece set gives you additional crit as well. So both extremely good. If you're a tank captain in particular as well, the 3-piece console set gives you insane extra stuff for tanking. There is a reason why for several years now, Florian on STO Reddit has been using the Science Star Cruiser because it is debatably the best tank in the entire game because of the 3-piece flagship set. Well, it's actually a 4-piece, but no one puts all 4 pieces on it. One of the biggest reasons why in one of my previous videos in my Dream Starship pack, why I had a console that allowed you to use sets from other ships was the biggest intention was to allow tanks to use the flagship console set on any other cruiser in the game. That was actually the biggest intention for it. Of course, other sets are also really good too, but that was the biggest reason for it, was because this set is insanely strong together, especially for tanking. Now, when it comes to the ships themselves, I mean, obviously the Federation ones are insane for tanking. The Romulan versions are insane for doing damage because you have a battle cloak, you have a hangar bay that the other ships don't have. It's a 5-3 layout instead of 4-4. Very, very, very strong. Checkmate from the science vessels and supercharged weapons from the tactical ones are all decent as well, but I'm not sure they would really fall into the high A+ tier traits anymore inside the game. When they released, they were very good, but we have better ones today, honestly. So with that all said, let's get into the actual meat of this video, in which we talk about crafting versus fleet stuff. So to start off with, to kind of set the tone, I'm going to say, just to make it very simple, here's the 3 general types of weapons and consoles inside the game. There's one that most stuff falls into, which is character-bound things. So everything from the fleet, anything that's part of a set. Weapons from the C-store that you have to upgrade are basically bound to you anyway, as well as consoles from lockboxes are all character-bound things. I have an asterisk here for the C-store one because technically it's character-bound, but you're able to claim it for all of your captains. You buy it once from the C-store, and then boom, you can claim it on all of your captains on your account. Same thing with consoles. The consoles start at maximum rank epic. These particular weapons, auxiliary dual heavy cannons and the phaser disruptor and plasma quad cannons don't. You do have to upgrade them to epic in order to be able to use them to their maximum potential. So these particular ones, you can claim them for all your captains, but you still have to upgrade them to get them to their maximum potential. So that's why I still consider them character bound. The second category is account bound. So all of your crafting stuff from the game, weapons, consoles, and the like, if you make them or get them off the exchange and use them, they're only account bound instead of character bound. So assuming that you have an account bank available to you, you are able to switch them between your various characters on your account. Additionally, and this is kind of the weird thing, honestly, is weapons that come out of lockboxes follow the same rule that crafting weapons follow, in that they can be traded across your account after you've put them on a starship. It's really weird, but that's the way it is inside the game too. The third category, which you're really never going to see beyond starter items, is stuff that never is bound, which only applies to common or white rarity weapons and consoles and stuff inside the game. So basically, like your starter weapons that you get on starships whenever you claim a starship for the first time, those are common ones, and technically you'd be able to trade them to any other character if you really wanted to, except, yeah, whatever. Well, I take that back. The ones off the ships are bound. The ones that you find through random drops are not bound. I do make that correction. Basically, the reason why this matters at all is for all characters, in that, especially if you're a free-to-play player and you have multiple characters on your account, but you don't want to invest the lithium, to upgrade a bazillion characters, especially if you want a really strong character that had to have epic for all of their gear and weapons and consoles. And it's honestly cheaper especially if you were someone who wants to play one character for a month and then switch to another character for another month, because if you're getting bored of another character and then switch to another character, or you want to start a new character, you can easily put a lot of that gear from your old character in your account bank. Once they get to the appropriate level, you can take them out, and they immediately have insane endgame gear without having to do the grind for it. Now, in the past, we used to be able to use the in-game mail system to mail account-bound stuff to ourselves, so that we didn't need to have the account bank. They recently passed that out of Star Trek Online on PC, unfortunately. I really wish they didn't, because that was super awesome for true free-to-play players, but Now they want you to use at least some dilithium to Zen exchange stuff to buy at least a few spots, so you actually have some account bank slots to use for this. Overall, like if you actually look at the raw stats, account bound stuff overall, well, from crafting it anyway, lockbox stuff is debatably about the same, but at least from crafting, is overall slightly weaker, but in my opinion, they should still be workable. In that instead of getting some of these fancy stuff from Fleet, for instance, in my opinion, it should be fine because you should be getting the additional usability to be able to put that gear on multiple characters instead of just stuck on one. I feel that that's the biggest usability behind it. And so now we're gonna dive into some of the problems. Now, if you look at regular damage tactical consoles, we don't actually see many problems. There's only one problem in this whole thing. But I'll start off with between Fleet and Craftable consoles, they're basically the same for if you're going for the suggested DPS build inside the game. Both a Fleet specific energy types and a crafted Fleet energy type has the exact same damage. The difference is that the Fleet version additionally has either 2% critical chance, 10% critical severity, or the restorative perimeter matrix added onto it if you have stuff from Fleet and have it in Mark 15 Epic. The crafted ones don't have that, but you can trade them throughout your entire account instead of character bound, so that's the usability buff you're getting from this. The downside is for crafted consoles, if you use a generalistic energy or projectile type, so if you're using one of these 4 consoles at the bottom instead of these other 12 here, if you're using these specific 4 ones here, you have a significant damage nerf essentially between the crafted and the Fleet ones. So if we're going to say that we wanted to have Fleet literally the same as the crafted, except that the Fleet gets these additional bonuses, depending on which one that you choose. The extremely simple answer is make these generalist consoles, instead of having 25% damage at Mark 15 Epic, for these to also have 34.5% damage at Mark 15 Epic. It wouldn't be that hard for Cryptic to adjust their damage tables, honestly, to make this simple change. The bigger problem comes with science, because science is more complicated. Science has always been more complicated. In fact, I still don't fully understand how science works, so some of the suggestions I'm about to suggest in this video might be detrimental to the science builds out there. But I feel that at least mine relatively work based upon other stuff that we see inside the game. So to compare, for crafted consoles, if you're using one of these consoles for the most part, for your skill, it gives you 39.4 for that skill, like 39.4% damage of the damage consoles. The problem is for crafted consoles, you don't get a second skill at all, or anything bonus, and you don't have anything else here either because you have that bound to account usability instead of bound to character. There's also some changes to the consoles, and that there used to be some resistance stuff to different things, which they took out entirely. So certain consoles are literally the exact same, even though they have different names. That I will be changing as well. For Fleet consoles, you have 39.4 of the first skill, and then for your second skill, you either have 2/3 of a skill that's different from your first skill, if you're using a Spire Focuser, or if you're doing an Embassy Amplifier or Nullifier, instead of that second skill, you get additional threat generation either in the positive or the negative. Honestly, when you look at Fleet consoles for science, you would honestly be going for the Fleet Spire ones if you're going to be doing a science build, and you'll be going for a Fleet Embassy Amplifier if you're going to be a tank. Embassy Nullifiers are pretty much gone inside the game. You really shouldn't be using them at all. Just gonna throw that out there. For the special Fleet thing on here, if you're using Spire Focusers, the restorative ones give you additional bonus EPG, Exotic Particle Generator. Whenever you use Hull and Shield Healing, it's a 25% chance to proc. The exotic ones give you additional bonus EPG whenever you're using exotic damaging abilities. For the embassy nullifiers and amplifiers, there's 3 different ones you can have here. Plasma generating, which used to give a plasma proc on weapons. This was the reason why the nullifiers and amplifiers were nerfed into submission, because this was so good that the tanking feedback pulse meta was the highest damaging meta inside the game, which Cryptic didn't like. They're like, tanks shouldn't be the highest damage dealers inside the game. They just shouldn't. It should be escort captains on cannons. That's what should be the highest DPS ships inside the game. Nowadays, it's the Valor Juggernaut, which is not an escort, but whatever. They nerfed this into submission and other things in the Embassy Science console, so if you're a tank captain, for instance, and if you're going to choose an Embassy Amplifier because you need it for additional threat generation, pick the hull repairing proc. It's the best one of the ones that are available currently. When it comes to solutions for these, by the way, when I ordered these consoles here, these are the main 3 ones that most science consoles are really going to be, most science captains would really want. These ones are situational, and then these 2 bottom ones don't scale properly with the current science stuff. I didn't know how to really adjust those scalings because I don't fully understand science, so sorry about that. But the 2 main ways to potentially add something extra to those crafted consoles is just to do 1 of 2 options, and I'm basing this off of 2 other consoles, or 3 other consoles technically, that exist inside the game right now. The first option is the easiest option, which is to add a simple basic healing proc to all the Craftable Science consoles in the game. So basically just adding a simple healing proc to every single one of these consoles here. So it would be a healing proc like the Shield Refrequencer from the Dyson reputation, except instead of applying to shields, it would be applying to hull, simply because it would be for everyone, and heals to hull helps everyone pretty equally. The heals to shields disproportionately is advantageous to science captains. Maybe that's what you want from science consoles, but if you do a hull heal, it will equally affect everyone. So that is the easiest option to do. The second option is the more complicated one, in which I'd be basing off of the Exotic Particle Exciter and the focusers, and then you'd have a full of 1 skill, and then either a full or a 2/3 of a second skill alongside whatever the proc is. Except the second option is that you just have the full of 1 skill, and then the 2/3 are full of that second skill. You wouldn't have any additional other things on it, no procs. It would just be those 2 things. That would allow you to still feel like that the fleet ones are very valuable and very worthwhile to have, but the craft ones would still have its value as well. So for the options for every single one of these consoles, I've laid them out here. For Particle Generator, it'll be two EPG ones here. Craft Generator is control with EPG, inertial is the double control. Countermeasure systems is control and drain. Flow Price would be drain and EPG. Power Insulator, drain and drain. And that would be pretty well rounded for a lot of the science builds inside the game, for at least for science DPS. For a science support or a tank support, emitter array would be very valuable. It has a base shield heal with the extra stuff. I'd personally want to add hull heal to it as well, just so that we would have a very generalistic, really good science console that enhances healing. Not only to yourself, but also to your allies if you want to do some outgoing healing. If you want to do the nanny runs again with like the new Tholian ship, this could be a way to allow you to have even more additional better healing for your ally. For sensor probes and stealth module, they're both dealing with PvP and stealth. Be able to see stealth or be more stealthy. So just enhancing that just seemed to make sense to me. The shield emitter amplifier is based around just passive healing to yourself with shield regen. I thought just adding hull regen to that just made sense. For the field generator, because it already has base shield 8 HP, realistically inside the game, having higher shields only really matters if you have shield resistance and or if you have additional skill in your shield healing ability, so that your shield heals will allow you to get your shields back up to those caps very easily, so that your shields can absorb much more damage. So shield healed made sense for me personally to put here. For nanite reinforced circuitry, hull regen is the basic thing here. To enhance hull regen even further, I was tempted to put a double hull regen here, but then for me that felt too much like engineering, so I thought just adding hull HP there as well made sense as well. Not to mention that a lot of the other traits inside the game that give you hull regeneration is actually a scaling hull regen that's separate hull regen that's based off of whatever your max hull HP is. So so basically what this would do, actually I probably should put max HP here, but whatever. What that would basically do is it would enhance those abilities even further as well. So to me, I felt that was really good. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you do. Yes, there was that teaser and short little thing about a potential new starship that we're going to be getting pretty soon inside the game. If that's released today, I'll have a video out within 24 hours, even though I will be pretty exhausted if I have to do that. Because of recent trends and what's hinted at in there, I'm assuming it's going to be an escort, destroyer, or warship. Simply because of the other ships that have been released recently and what's hinted at inside of that, that's what I'm guessing is the ship that it's going to be for its relative class. But that's just my speculation. Thank you all for watching. Especially thank you all for watching that last video that has skyrocketed in views and stuff. But anyway, yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, and if that new ship is released, you'll see another video pretty soon on this channel as well.